Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Season 2 of Titan Alumni Talks, a weekly podcast where we talk to alumni about their experiences at Cal State Fullerton, as well because you want to do the Alumni Association. So we plan on asking him about his experiences at Cal State Fullerton, along with him starting his own company. You can listen to this episode, along with all future and past episodes, on our YouTube channel by searching for CSUF Alumni. You can also listen to them live at Cal State Fullerton's radio station on titanradio.org on Sundays at 4 p.m. So thank you, Jordie, for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Ahad.
So the weather is super good today.
I grew up here, I'm a SoCal boy, and so weather has been something to not complain about aside from when it rains, because if you're a Southern Californian, you know that when water starts falling from the sky, it gives you permission to panic and not drive well. And so it's been fun being a local boy and experiencing all that Southern California has to have, including good weather. Yeah.
All right. So tell us what you do at your current job.
Yeah. So it's been quite the journey, but currently I serve as principal of Muhjordie Creations, which is a whole bunch of different things, but ideally it's a place where I get to play around in a digital world. And so it consists of a digital marketing consultancy that I run. It's a place where I can release content that I and my friends or people that I know are wanting to create, from short films to podcast and everything in between. So yeah, it's an interesting kind of place where I like to call it my sandbox. So anything and everything professionally that I do and on the side personally is done through that, but all having that digital tie to it.
I see.
Yeah.
So you started your own company through this.
I did. It acts as a DBA, but it financially it works in that way. But it's fun because it started as almost like a hobby. I and a good friend of mine started a Disney blog back in 2008, and what we enjoyed about doing that was that not only was it fun because we, also being part of growing up in Southern California is that you have Disneyland just down the road from here. And so it becomes part of you that you want to go all the time. And if it doesn't, you shouldn't be living here. But we had so much fun doing that. But it also came at the cusp of, not a lot of people were blogging and creating content even just, 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
And so we were at a crossroads. And so that blog really spurred my interest in, what digital could offer so far as a content platform, but also as a enterprise. And so I had to really turn this hobby into, well, I didn't have to. I wanted to turn it into an enterprise. And so I had to learn how to market it. I had to learn how to operate it. I had to learn how to maintain it. And all of that came through the idea of starting, ultimately, this one thing could branch out into other different areas of my life, and clients and other businesses and different things like that. So the environment was ripe for it. When you think about the site, which still exists today, it's called DisneyExaminer.com. But when you're thinking about a company, namely a major company like Disney, it's so well known, but it wasn't as known as I think a lot of people like to think it is today. Like even 10 years ago today, I'd like to think that Disney isn't the same company. They had not made any of the major acquisitions that they had made Pixar. They had made the Pixar acquisition before, but it still wasn't as big as or as influential as it is today. And so a lot of our content, we pride ourselves in the content, but we know that content wouldn't have reached the amount of people that it had if it were not for being readily available online. And so not a lot of people were doing it, and digital was the way to do it. And so we were for sure in the right mix of what was happening in a digital world, but also what, kind of the company and Disney was leading itself into ultimately to where we are today. So yeah, it was the perfect mixture of a lot of different things for sure.
So now the Disney Examiner is like an official partner of Disney.
Yeah, I wouldn't say official, but we do get invited to press events and different openings. I was just in Florida last week to take a look at or preview their newest Star Wars attraction that will be opening here in California. That California version will be opening in January 2020. And so, but yeah, I got to ride it, got to interview some of the friends that I had known through the years who actually worked on the attraction, which was fun. And so, yeah, it's we still reach 190 countries, 193 countries. We're not censored in China. I mean, they're one of our larger audiences, apart from the United States and some of the Asian countries. So yeah, that all sits under Muhjordie Creations. Yeah.
So which Disneyland is the best Disneyland?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Without being biased for
California.
California. Because I know you went to this one quite a bit.
I did.
There's no way you could go to Cal State Fullerton and not go to Disneyland.
That's
that
true.
often.
We call ourselves Cal State Disneyland. It's so true. We had our 60th anniversary party kickoff a few years ago at the park. So I think that the Titan in me would like to say Disneyland. But yeah, I think every Disney park is unique. You have the history and the intimacy that is Disneyland Resort with the original Disneyland that Walt Disney walked into. The only Disney park that Walt walked and oversaw is here in Anaheim. And then you have California Adventure, which has changed dramatically from when it first opened, and that's thanks to the infusion of new ideas and new attractions that have Disney IP in them. So there's a uniqueness to Disneyland, but I think the scale of Walt Disney World is also vast. It's acres of land, and you have to, unlike here in California, you have to take shuttles and monorails to get from park to park, or you have to drive to them. But they also have unique attractions that you can't find anywhere else there too. But then there's also the international landscape that is including Shanghai Disneyland. I went to that park in China the year it opened, so just a few months after grand opening, and it was so cool because, like, again, it felt different, but it didn't feel foreign to me. You still had the quote unquote magic of a Disney park, of being able to transport you to places that you've always wanted to go to or you've never dreamed of going to before. You had the uniqueness of Chinese culture also informing that as well. And so, there's that. And to bring it back to the Titan part of it too, there are a lot of people that I've met who work for Disney who are Titan alum. Some of which I actually, just thinking about it right now, there's a good friend of mine who graduated with a finance degree from Mahalo, but his name's Kevin Salazar, and I bumped into him actually at the opening of that Star Wars attraction in Walt Disney World just last week. And so he was based out here for a little bit, but then he moved. Connecting it back to just the Titanness of those who are Disney employees. Like there's a lot of them out there for sure who are doing some amazing things for the company and for just people around the globe, which I think is really cool.
You have the Disney background, which a lot of people can relate to and resonate with, along with the entrepreneurial mindset that comes into it, where it's content creation and just starting your own, whether it's like your blog or your own business or just working with different companies. How did this spark for you?
I've been asked that many times, and I think the answer has always been the same. And I think it's just in you, I think an innate curiosity is something that really drives me to do what I do. I really don't think about the feasibility of things at first. I really just kind of dream big and think about possibilities, and you getting them onto paper, and then to some point you have to dwindle those ideas down and start to carve and hone them, and some ideas don't work, and then some ideas do. But that only happens if you're begging the question and being curious. A lot of people, even Walt Disney himself was a curious guy, and invented things and didn't take no for an answer until no was the answer. And so, not to liken myself to Walt Disney, but I think a lot of people who end up creating things or contributing to the world in their own unique way are the ones who are asking that question and thinking about feasibility and how to do it after that. Not to say that it's not part of that process. It just begins with saying, hey, this could be possible.
So just like a built-in personality trait.
Yeah,
and it seems like
I
you're
think
also
so.
the one who you don't ask permission first. You just ask for forgiveness afterwards if you mess up.
Yeah. I mean, that it has gotten me into trouble a few times. But I think it's something that really stems itself from, I guess going back to what you'd mentioned before about just the environment that you're in. I am the only child to Filipino parents. And growing up in Southern California, before we moved to Orange County in 2000, I was born in LA County, and I grew up in a house that was right across the street from a mental institution, and in an area in LA that wasn't too kind, and so just thinking about my childhood, I was informed by that. I think, to some degree, where I wanted to not get away from home or escape anything, but I needed to do it in order for me to get my mind off of it to some degree, So, born with it, maybe, but at least through adolescence and into teenage years and through childhood and through my teenage years, I was informed by just my environment, I think, in a lot of ways. So it was only bolstered. I guess whatever was in me when I was born was only grown because of the environment that I grew up in.
Yeah, when it comes to growing up in that environment, sometimes you can initially see it as a disadvantage, but a lot of times when you look back at things, it's with the snowball effect that maybe if you grew up somewhere else, or maybe if you weren't an only child, then you would have had something else to fulfill your curiosity, and you wouldn't have to go into your own mind trying to find different things and push yourself to the next limit.
Yeah. No, I don't regret anything, and I think everything has purpose, and it all works out in the end, Even just my journey here to Cal State Fullerton wasn't the journey that I thought I would be getting into. Graduating from high school, I focused on that Disney blog. I focused on Disney Examiner quite a bit, and I graduated from high school. But that first semester I went to community college. I'm a community college grad, and I knew I was going to be, but I did not know that I was going to get 3 Fs when my first semester in community college. And
how did your parents react to that?
Oh, they were not happy,
Okay.
man. They, because they're paying for my glasses. They paid for my books. And
I know, Asian parents, I feel that too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But, my parents were super gracious about it after I told them a few weeks after the end of that semester. And so, I didn't expect that at all. And, the community college route, and ultimately getting here, it was something that I just had to kind of lean into as things kind of came about, and I'm happy where I ended. I ended up at a university that champions diversity. Ended up at a university who has a lot of holistic programs to make sure that students aren't just stuck, here. But are really trying to get the upper hand when it comes to preparing for what life has ahead, so far as a career or, personal projects, or even so daring to say that if you feel like you can run and don't need a degree, giving you every available piece of information for you to make that informed decision. yourself is, I think, the greatest part, or all of these make up a great part of what, Cal State Fullerton is, and I've been the benefit of. So, yeah.
Would you have gone to Cal State Fullerton if Disney wasn't so close?
No.
So you were a big fan of Disney before?
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of having, the theme park just 15 minutes down the road here off the 57 is nice. And then, the corporate, where in Burbank is, not too far away depending on the traffic. But, I wasn't coming into it purely because, there was a tie to the Walt Disney Company, but
it's like a benefit, an add-on.
It for sure is a benefit and an add-on. And then as I went here, I didn't come to the main campus initially. I was still living in Irvine with my parents, and so I went to the Irvine Center campus, and took all my classes that I needed to take there up until the 2 years that I needed there, and then I transferred over. So I was a 5-year grad. And had to ultimately finish up classes here on the main campus. And so, I think access, and convenience of having that Irvine Center campus down there was also, again, just stuff I wasn't thinking about when I initially chose to come here. It was the only school that I applied to, so I really I wasn't thinking until the things actually started to happen. And in a lot of ways, the school started revealing its benefits as I journeyed through it. So it wasn't that I was actively looking to have a campus next to me. It just so happened that there was, and the business classes that I could take were available there. The opportunity to connect with the Alumni Association on campus, in which I serve now didn't happen unless I came to the main campus and met with the staff there, and they invited me to speak while I was a student, mind you, about my business. So I mean, all of that really just happened without any planning, and I think that for me has been an interesting life facet, because I think when you're talking about student preparedness and being informed about what stuff's out there for you, I think a lot of times your unpreparedness is still gonna eventually find itself to see you through. And again, I think that has to do a lot with just how our university acts as a university. It's not like, hey, if you miss a class, or if you start to slack, it's sucks for you. There are things that, if you so choose to do so, to continue in your higher educational journey, there are very easy access ways to get back on track, or to be reminded that you're not going to be lost, So, but I think that's pretty unique about our campus, and I would like to thank a lot of the CSUs in the system right now, specifically Cal State Fullerton, because there's so much, man. It's ridiculous. This school has given so much to the student populace, when I was a student, and I know continues to this day, to be able to see students through. So, yeah.
You mentioned a lot of things that I would like to touch on.
Sure.
The first of which is that you went to a community college right after high school.
I did.
And along with that, sometimes you didn't do as well as one might have hoped, especially
right.
with your parents.
Yes.
And a lot of students, they might have that worry that if I didn't get to a four-year university right after college, then what is their solution to it? So what was the process of going to a community college and then going from the community college to Cal State Fullerton?
Yeah, so I didn't think of the transfer opportunity. I mean, I wanted to transfer. I didn't know where I would transfer, but I knew it would be a nice stepping stone into college life. And so I went to Irvine Valley College. Go Lasers. I think they're still the Lasers. Great mascot, by the way.
What did they dress up as?
There was nothing. It was literally just this beam of light, because Irvine is like tech central.
I get it, but
yeah, I mean, even UCI has the anteaters. Come on, guys.
Just choose something someone can dress up as.
Hopefully,
laser pointer.
Yes. I think there's a story I will circle back to, but I served on student government there, which is a first for me. I think I never thought that I didn't serve in any type of student capacity when I was in high school. So As I started to grow up, I started to realize, oh, I want to do this, you know?
Yeah.
I'm fit for this, or I think I'm fit for this. So yeah, the lasers. I hope, yeah, I was part of that committee. There was a committee that was formed to try to change that, and I think one of the ideas was the Irvine Valley College chinchillas.
Better than the lasers.
I know, I think so. At
better
least
than
you got a
lasers.
chinchilla walking around, you
Yeah.
know, a basketball game. So, anyways, yeah, I wanted to transfer. I didn't know where to transfer. Cal State Fullerton was, at the time, my backup school, as I think a lot of people think it is. But that's changing, which we'll talk about later. Changing in a good way. But yeah, the process was not too complicated. Like, you know, you meet with a counselor at community colleges, or you should, to figure out, you know, what your general education classes should be. Starting to discover what your major is, and therefore what your major classes should be in order for you to transfer. I think it's still 60 units in order for you to transfer to a university, and so here in California. And so yeah, everything was kind of mapped out. You know, I had classes that I needed to take, and every semester I would be there on my computer at the specific time registration opened, and I got them and I took them. And so, yeah, like that wasn't new to me, you know, but to think that there's skin in the game so far as money, and so far as valuing what I was doing on a campus, like that for sure was new to me. And the fact that I wasn't paying for it, obviously, and having, you know, my parents pay for it. So there was just a lot of pressure, I would say, in regards to meeting those expectations and what was expected. I was expecting for myself. But you know, the transfer process wasn't really difficult once I finished, you know, my GE classes, and I started to take a really strong interest in business. And so I just applied and through CSU Mentor, like everybody else does still, and I got in, and I said, all right, here we go. I'm going to be a Titan. So yeah, nothing new there. I think the only takeaway was just getting ready for college life. I think community college afforded that. It's smaller. You have more places to be curious, you know. And you know, it wasn't bad either. You know, if you go to I understand not all community colleges are like Irvine, Irvine Valley College, but you know, it's a nice environment to be in, to get to know yourself better, get to know others around you better, and get to see whether or not you want to continue that higher education path. And so, yeah, it was a great playground for all of that to happen.
And then you also mentioned that you took 5 years at Cal State Fullerton, right?
I 5 years total, so that
3 years
included
at
the
Cal
three.
State.
Yeah, 3 at Irvine Valley,
Oh, okay. I see.
and then 2 at Cal State Fullerton.
So most people would finish community college in 2 years.
Yes,
So
I took that extra year because
Yeah.
I messed up the.
so what
first
was like
classes.
the stigma behind that, where a lot of people think that you get it done in total in 4 years,
Sure.
but taking 5 years, how was it being a little bit behind your peers, and then getting into Fullerton,
Yeah.
you were a year older?
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't consciously on my mind. You know, I'd like to think that, you know, I beat my own drum, and therefore, you know, my drum sound is going to sound a lot different from a lot of people's. So it wasn't comparative. I really wasn't comparative until later in life, which I think is such a dangerous thing. So yeah, I wasn't conscious about it at the time, but I think it was a benefit for me to just be able to say, hey, you know, I messed up when I first started, and I know that I'm not the only one who's probably done the same thing. But I have to just wipe myself off and keep going because I chose to. Yeah. And so I really didn't think I wouldn't say there was a stigma for sure. And none of my family judged me or anything like that too. So the environment, you know, at home was, you know, not of pressure or anything like that. But it's just a unique story that I hope now that I'm telling this whole public audience about, that I flunked 3 of my classes when I first went to community college, that it can encourage somebody else who have done the same thing, that, it's not the end of the world. There's still a lot more ahead of you in life and at school, and so, yeah, like it didn't discourage me at all. I think initially, obviously, just messing up for sure, but to say that I was going to just clean exit higher education journey, my higher education journey, then no. It is a journey, and I think not to discredit any of these people, because I'm not speaking for your parents or for the university in particular, but I think there are reasons why people say that kind of stuff, and I think it has to do a lot with just being stuck on campus. Like, just as much as you're getting it's always been a fear of when you go to community college that you're just stuck there because all you're doing is just taking random classes. And so I think to some degree, messaging or the fears that people have that translate to you or to myself or to the campus population is only happening because they don't want you here forever, and I think that's a rightly placed concern. They don't want, because we're not a Harvard or anything like that, our campus, to be honest with you, Cal State Fullerton specifically, doesn't want you here forever. They want you to get on with your life and stop spending for classes and books and parking permits. They want you to live, and I think if you understand the context again of where a lot of that's coming from, and again, this is coming from people I know at the administrative level here, as well as the administrative level at Irvine Valley College, that they want people to just find direction, and it's less of a pressure and more of a, hey, if we can help you get to the point where you won't need us anymore, we did our job. Yeah. So, yeah. College should only just be a part of your life,
I understand that there is that concern and fear that some people do get stuck in it forever, or the longer you have someone stuck in it, the more chances that they're going to drop out without actually getting a degree with it. Yeah. Because then in 4 years, people can do 4 years, but then if someone says 5 or 6, then once they get to their 5th year, they might say, this might not be for me. Or if they go to their 4th year, I can't do another 2.
Sure.
Whereas, I can do another semester, I can get the degree. So I understand where that concern is coming from. Sure. I just wish it was a little bit more well known that some people don't finish in 4 and it's fine.
Yeah.
Like there are other, taking an extra year won't be the end of the world, but it's something for everyone.
Yeah. And not to discredit the people who want to finish in 4, So I think going back to just what I think higher education should be, is that every story is different. Every educational story is different. Every educational journey is different. And I think at the end of the day, like it's yours, and there's no one that anyone or under the sun that it can tell you otherwise. So it's just the way it is. And I think that's a great thing to know. So let me tell all of our listeners who are listening, it's okay to be a 5-year graduate of Cal State Fullerton or any institution that you go to. It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Yeah,
that's good to hear, because you did well, and I'm going to do great.
You're going to do great, Ahad.
I'm going to do fantastic.
I think so, man. I think so.
And another thing I would like to touch on before we go on a break is how long were you planning to be in business? When did it click for you that, like, hey, I want to do business admin?
Yeah,
because a lot of students have that issue where they don't know what they're going to do right away, or they change your major. So have you had any thoughts of maybe I want to do business admin and you switch, or you switch to business admin from something else?
That's a great question. No, I kind of, I think Disney Examiner informed a lot of that decision making, because it was my own enterprise, and it was starting to build itself into an enterprise. And I just wanted to learn more about how I can really do that in a professional setting. And so, again, the environment was pretty ripe for me to just make a clean decision to go into business admin, which it's not necessarily business, is just not just dollars and cents, but there's strategy and thought and partnerships that make things happen. And so that, in addition to being able to establish my network and grow with skills that I knew I could only benefit from by others, in partnership with others, that's what made my decision there to make business my major happen. So like, yeah, I think it really, if you want to condense it into something or a takeaway, I think what I was doing outside of the classroom informed what I was doing inside.
I see.
You know, like my outside projects are the things that made me want to pursue the goal of wanting to do or learn it more in a educational scenario.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's everything that you learned while growing up and had a passion for.
Right.
And you were just able to take these classes and add on to it and just.
For sure. And it all made it super purposeful for me.
It became like a full cycle where everything
yeah.
just led back to each other.
Absolutely. It all had purpose. And I think that's going to be a motivator of a lot of people to be able to pursue education too, is that it's not just tied to your learning. Like, you just don't want to grow your head. You want to grow the knowledge that you're gaining so that you can benefit whatever that's going to be after you graduate. And so, like, yeah, it was all very tied to one thing, and I think that's what really kept me going, or a major part of what kept me going to finish and graduate in 2015.
You had the real world applications
Sure.
that you were already planning
Yeah,
beforehand.
before that, which
Yeah.
is unique because I think a lot of people think that you're learning in college so that you can apply later. But I was doing stuff.
You were learning to help with what you were already doing beforehand.
Exactly. It's happening. It was happening all at the same time. And I would encourage the same thing for other people who are trying to figure out what they're going to do in life too.
Find a passion and then learn to build on that passion.
That's how you do it.
All right. So we're now on a commercial break, and then we'll come back and ask Jordie some questions and just test some of his knowledge.
Good
on
questions. Yes.
Yes.
Here we go.
All right. So we're back with Jordie, and then we're going to ask him some questions
Mm.
regarding some of the things he's done in the past.
Oh, it's like Jeopardy.
Well,
Did you like research me and then you're, Jordie for 200 or something like that?
All right, pick it. Which one?
Jordie for 200. Yeah.
Jordie for 200.
Yeah. What's your question? Or you have to. I will pick a category. I'll say, Jordie for 200, Ahad.
Oh,
and
okay.
You will read
That
me
makes
the
sense.
clue. You'll read me the answer, and then I will respond with what is
All right.
Cal State Fullerton.
All right.
I don't know.
All right, go for it.
Okay. I would like to choose because I have control of the board. As you can tell, I'm a big Jeopardy fan, by the way. Everybody, I love Alex Trebek. He's going to get through it. I know he's going to get through it, okay? I will choose Cal State Fullerton for $1,967.
No, that was good. I like that.
1967.
I like that.
I don't know.
First off-
I think that's when the school started, right? Fact check, please.
I think it was 1957.
1957. There we go.
Come on.
I should know this. Okay.
And the answer is wrong.
I know. I
That's the
just
first part
lost
of it.
100.
At first, I was like 1,000. What's he gonna ask? And you said
$1,957. Yes.
All right, for that,
Yes.
we're gonna ask.
Okay.
What years did we win the World Series championships?
Oh,
baseball.
dang.
How does the song
It's
go?
on the banners.
There's
I can't ask the audience for help.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's not live. We
I
can't
know.
call them.
I'm like writing, and just panicking, and the camera's panning at me, and I'm just like,
and just zooming in on your face,
yeah.
and it's just like, this is not the answer.
I don't know, pal.
I know we won in 07. Pretty sure we
Okay.
won. But you were in college at 07.
Yes, I was, but yes.
This is not an excuse.
Yeah, that's true.
You should've gotten it.
And to be quite frank with you, like, I think again, like, I was never
It's in the athletics
I was
parking
never
lot.
tied to like anything that this university did. I kind of just did my thing.
Yeah.
I went to school and then I left. And so pivoting into into my Titan experience. Yeah, it wasn't I think I brought it up earlier. My mentality with coming here was that and I have to use this phrase very particularly now because I think Fram, our current president and man that I truly love, is that it was a commuter campus.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's still, to some degree, the phrase is still used amongst a lot of people. Now, that's not a bad thing because that really represents the populace of our current student populace, or describes the students that are on campus. A lot of them are people who have jobs. and they got to take care of families at home, and they have extracurriculars that they do outside of the campus, and some of them are parents, and they're got to go home and take care of their kids, and so I think like them, I had just stuff to do outside. Not to say that I didn't want to. I think part of what I do now in serving on the Alumni Association board and being able to connect with a whole bunch of campus partners through that work is that I think that there's just so much here that if you don't have anything going on in your life and you want to get more involved in campus, then there are things. Yeah. And there's not just one thing. There are a multitude of things, from clubs to shows that you can watch at the Performing Arts Center, to getting involved in ASI and student government, to sports and athletics, to going to the Titan Rec Center, and doing a climbing wall or running around the indoor track. There's just so much that you can do, and so I think a lot of that is, for me, a big part of what I like to encourage people with, if they have the time to do it. To be able to get involved on campus, because you won't regret it. There's life that happens here. It's not just a commuter campus. Life for sure happens.
But if you don't have the time, then you don't have the
time.
Then
you don't have the time too.
You're still able to still have the campus experience.
Absolutely.
Tailored to you if you are a commuter. But if you have the time, if you live on campus,
there's so much.
You're not doing a lot. There's so many clubs you can join, so many sports you can join.
Right.
You could join Titan Radio
and
start your own podcast. This is our sponsor.
Here you go.
It's a shameless plug.
There you go.
We're gonna toss that in.
Yes.
But yeah, there's so many things you can join and just do, and it's nice because the campus isn't too large where you'll get lost and eclipsed over just the vast majority of things you can do. But over here, there's a nice balance of here's a lot of things you can do based on your time.
Right.
There's so many clubs that you can join that if one doesn't fit your time, you can find another that does.
Exactly.
That's the nice part about it.
Yeah, I think so too. So while I don't know the World Series champs, I do know that now that the Irvine Center, CSUF Irvine Center, has a resurgence of students who are interested in esports, and there are talks to potentially put an esports arena there.
It's a little odd.
I don't know, it's crazy. So
I'm not too well researched on it. I know a lot of my friends play League, and then they're gonna hate me for what I say.
See, I'm getting you back now because of this World Series thing. But
all right, so we'll skip to the next question then. Okay. Ask a Jordie question.
Okay.
Or ask a pick one from that.
Sure. Yeah. Category. Alumni Association for $2,019.
Oh, because that's an easy one.
That's an easy one. Yes.
So when was the alumni house gifted to us?
Oh.
And what is the full name of the person who gave? What's the full name?
Go Heller. There's controversy in how you pronounce it, but it's the Go Heller Alumni House. And I don't know when it was gifted, but it was an original building that was here on campus before it was a campus. It was Orange Groves. And that's why our logo, Cal State Fullerton logo, is not an elephant. It's an orange tree. Fun fact. But yes, it was like a rancher house. And so you'll go into the house, and it's inspired by a lot of, I'm not making this up, this is true, that there are, just like influences from, ranch life there. There are influences from the Spanish architecture that's still there too, and then of course you have orange trees that are or oranges or citrus that are still connected to the house too. But specifically about the Alumni House, that is where the Alumni Association, which I serve on, lives, and where the amazing staff that supports the board work there happens, and just is a nice place so that when you do graduate and you want to contribute of your time or just want to get reconnected back to campus, you have a portal, a nice place to not get lost again, but just to find a place where you can at least get those next steps and to get reconnected and reacquainted with the campus here. So and the communities here. So yeah, that is the Alumni Association.
You're giving yourself the difficult questions. Ask it about yourself. Pick it in the Jordie category.
Okay, the Jordie category.
Some good questions
well, yes. Sure. Jordie for $28 because I'm 28 years old.
All right.
There you go.
What is? I don't know how to. So I give the answer. The answer.
You read your clue. You read. This. This. I don't know what question you asked, but this blah 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 is what Jordie does on the off chance that he is not busy, and then I will respond with what is the answer. Yeah.
So this is Jordie's favorite rap artist, and he went to see. He went to see
did your research.
He went to see the film recently.
Yes.
And I think this ties back into the fact that you are a youth pastor.
Oh no, not youth pastor. You're doing something great.
So
no, this is great.
What's the answer?
The answer, what is Kanye West?
Who is Kanye West?
Who is Kanye West? See, I wouldn't do good at Jeopardy. I do really well at Jeopardy when I watch Jeopardy, like a lot of people.
But the whole syntax of it.
When you're at Jeopardy, Alex is going to go, no. And I'll be like, yes. And you're like, and then someone else is going to answer who knows me and goes, who is Kanye West? And I would be like, dang it, man. But, I want to say quick correction there about the youth pastor. No, I am not. I serve at my local church in Long Beach, or in the Long Beach area, and as a worship leader, so I do sing like Kanye. And
sell your tickets now.
I do. Oh yeah. And you're gonna have to see that on a Sunday morning if you want to see me and hear me sing. Going back to it, it's another. It's a part of my life too. Outside of the campus and doing life outside. That has been a big part of it too. So yeah, I enjoy serving. I'm part of the youth ministry there too, with high schoolers and now college age folks, and then the career folks that I grew up with. So yeah, there's a lot to do at Calvary Presbyterian in Wilmington, California.
So I have a question. How are you able to juggle all of this? It seems like you're doing so many projects, so many things that you're focusing on.
Yeah.
It just seems sort of difficult. So how have you found that work-life balance, plus religion adding on to it, plus entertainment?
I don't think it's a balance. I think a lot of it changed for me this past year. December, like last few months of December, I was planning like this worship concert thing for Christmas, and we ended up having it, and it was great. But I remember the last time we did that concert on a Sunday night, I think leading the week before Christmas, I felt this emptiness. I don't know what it was, but it had hints of a thing that I had experienced earlier in life before, and that was depression. And so I didn't think it was anything at first, but the more and more we got into the season, the more and more I felt just dead. And I can attribute it to a handful of reasons. One of them, I think, being burnout. Of just doing things and not really reserving time for yourself or for you to express how you feel with other people. It kind of just was all internalized. And so, I started my 2019 in a depressed state, so much so that I had not gone to therapy in any of my previous bouts of it before, but I had to seek a counselor. Because it got too bad, suicidal, and so I just needed help, and I think so, not to bring the conversation down, but I think to some degree, I think doing things as as a person, when you're just focused in doing and you're not focusing on yourself. And what your limits are, because there are limits to everyone and everything. You're gonna end up in a pretty bad place if it's not in check, And so, it was never a balance for me. I'm learning every day up until that point, so I'm better now. I'm learning every day though to just take it, one day at a time, and to not really concern myself with too many other things at once. And so, it was a journey for sure, but I think it only happened for me to learn that I needed to have experienced the pits of that. Just like, when I got my Fs, in community college, like I really don't think I would have gotten the message unless that bad thing had happened. And so, again, like it was purposeful. I look back at it now. I know it might happen again, but hopefully now I'm more prepared. I know how to combat that if it does come back. It can't be acknowledged unless you say it. You can't. You can ask. If you're not going to ask for help, then how are people going to know that you're going through it? And I think the stigma there is that you're going to be judged for it, or that you're going to be looked at as weak. And the reality is that everybody's weak, and everybody needs to do life with other people. That's why when we're alone, we feel alone. We were created in community. We were created for community. And so I think for me to learn that and to now be more open than I was before, and to and to see the effects of doing that, where you're in some ways giving people permission to also admit how they feel, has been quite the joy, for me, because I think it's just one less it's just one less thing that someone has to worry about, that they're going through life and not understanding it, or maybe going through a particular period in their journey, and they just need someone to listen to them, So yeah, it's been quite fun to discover that, but also quite humbling to understand that this world has so many terrible things out there, that if we as people can just be a little bit more compassionate and be sensitive to those around us who are going through things, and can be the people to either not give advice. I think people are quick to speak. Oftentimes, especially when you're, if you're depressed or if you're going through anxiety, I think it only adds to that if someone is just saying get over it, or hey, get help. But if you just sit alongside someone and you just listen, I think that's the world of difference that I think is the thing that brought me around. So
I would say the same here. Sometimes my friends are in different schools and they can't, but just like texting them and just ranting maybe like 20 or 30 messages and just getting like a bit back from them, I'm like, okay, they understood. They can see it. And a lot of it comes because when you hit depression, you're at the lowest of the low. So especially like I see it in you that you're always reaching for something higher, something new, or you're trying to be on the top, just trying to find something new to do. And when you get hit by depression, you just it's a very humbling thing. And then once you come back from it, you're like, okay, something big could happen that will just put me on the bottom. But then you kind of think, how do I get out of that? So you just come back at it stronger. And you said it was the beginning of this year, right? So 2020 is coming around. It's been like almost a full year since it happened.
It has.
So you can kind of reflect on the year and how it started and how it ended. And it's a big
it's informed a lot of what I'm doing now, and I'm attributing my time to. Like this past November, we in partnership with a good friend of mine and another church here in Irvine and my church, we held a one-day gathering for those who are Christian, who are going through some type of mental health crisis. I think Christian faith has not been too kind to give dialogue to how to deal or how to handle those who are experiencing PTSD or stronger forms, and then of course depression and anxiety. And so that was great because, there my efforts, again, informed by what had happened just a few months earlier, are now creating an event that for sure I have benefited from, but a lot of people who ended up going to that also benefited from, and we're now looking to make it even bigger next year, So again, stuff that I would have not thought of to do in my adolescence or in my college years, but because of it has really informed what, I'm now giving my professional time to now. So yeah, it's an interesting thing how all that kind of just comes together for sure.
So I wanted to touch on one last thing.
Sure.
One last Jordie Jeopardy
We
question.
gotta talk about the association too.
I
pal.
know, but
you know that's
Yeah.
that's what Rebecca.
I know
Rebecca
she's gonna want
says.
this.
She's gonna say you're gonna re-record and say what. you
Yeah,
have
she
to
was
do.
like, yeah. But there's one more Jordie Jeopardy
Yes.
question.
Sure.
Jordie believes that this is one thing that Walt Disney needs to work on. What is that one thing?
One thing. The Walt Disney, like if he were still alive, kind of thing.
No, Walt Disney World. I
Walt
apologize.
Disney World needs to work on. Oh, the churros. What is churros?
That is correct.
Ding 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 ding.
You are wrong,
I
but that is
was.
correct.
Yes.
They're perfect.
They
I
do.
don't know.
Oh no,
what's the
no,
issue
the
with them? I saw
Disneyland
that,
ones.
I
The
was
Disneyland ones are way better.
Oh, you mean Walt Disney World versus Walt Disney?
Yes.
Okay, because I was like Disneyland's fantastic.
Disneylands are fantastic. Yes.
I associated. Oh, okay.
Oh, there's a
I
world
didn't know
of
the
Disney out
difference.
there for you, Ahad.
I didn't know. I'm not
Yes.
too big of a Disney.
Yeah,
person.
no, you're gonna do it now. Once I talked about it with you, we're gonna go together. one of these
We're gonna
days.
go right now, right
Yes,
after this. We're just gonna
indeed.
head on over there.
Indeed.
All right, so let's get to the Alumni Association. That's like we spent so long talking about Kanye West.
I
My
know,
boss is
I
gonna listen to
know,
this and
I
say,
know. It's okay. Don't edit any of this out.
Oh no, I won't.
Yes,
I'm gonna keep
good.
it. Well, I have
Very
to
good.
trim it to that,
Good,
but like
good,
I'm
good,
gonna
good.
keep that in.
Okay.
Because she's gonna love that. Because normally it's never relevant whenever I
Yes.
ask about Kanye West,
Yes.
but it's relevant.
This is relevant
It's
today.
relevant.
Good, good.
Okay, so we know that you're an active alumni.
Yes.
What made you an active alumni? What separated you from just leaving campus and not coming back?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's not any one particular reason. I graduated. I think before that, though, I had mentioned I'd connected with some of the staff at the Alumni Association. One of them being Justin Gerbach, who is our is one of our directors there. But he had me come in to talk to students about I think it was entrepreneurship or digital media. And it was interesting because I don't know how he found out about me, or maybe it was LinkedIn or whatever. I have to ask him about that one of these days. But he invited me down, and I spoke. And I was a student at the time again. So it was kind of weird because you had a panel of these people who were professional, people who had graduated with degrees. And here I was, talking to students about student stuff. And while I thought it was weird at the time, I found it really cool because when people came up to me afterward, they were saying, it's just great to see somebody who looks like me and as young as I am doing some things, and to remind me that there's just a lot out there, for me. And so that ultimately forayed into having discussions with the head of the Alumni Association at the time, Diana Fisher, who is now in advancement here at the school. But she was an executive director at the Alumni Association at the time, and she had a conversation with me, and she said, "Would you like to be a board member?" Essentially. And I was like, sure. Like I'm not that big of a deal. But if you guys find what I'm contributing beneficial, and you think that I can help steer the association in a positive way, then sure. And so I went on a Disney cruise when I graduated with my folks, and I came back and I got an email the day we came back and said that I got the role. So I was voted in 2015. Yeah, 2015, the year I graduated. And when I joined, I was like apparently I was one of the younger board members that they've ever had. They've always skewed older. And I think when you're an alum, when you're on a board that has, that whose sole purpose is to connect students with people who've had experiences and stuff like that. Again, I felt very underperforming, that I wasn't meant to be there initially when I joined. And so it took a few terms for me to get my footing. But now I currently serve as the VP of Student Outreach on the board, specifically on the exec committee. So I serve alongside the president and the other VPs, like marketing, communications, and alumni events and what have you. So yeah, it's been quite the journey since then, to be able to, again, rediscover like what this campus has to offer, things that, or discover for the first time the things that this campus has to offer students and alumni. And I think another big part of it for me too is just to connect. Current alumni are over close to 300,000, as you'd mentioned, alumni globally with campus opportunities, that it's possible to contribute to Cal State Fullerton beyond your wallet. And I think that's always been like a running joke with alumni associations, is that everything you got to do is just got to give your money, which is important because, a lot of money does go to scholarships and stuff like that, especially the Alumni Association. We have scholarships for students that get funded by donations. But there are other things, like especially like the young alumni populace that we have that have just graduated within the 4 or 5 years, like myself, who may not necessarily have, the strongest bank accounts right now, but have themselves a gathered experience and knowledge and just compassion.
And a lot of time, too.
Yeah, and a lot of time, exactly, to be able to come to campus and speak at a panel, or come to campus and participate in like events like homecoming, or come to campus and participate in some of the Alumni Association programs like D12, which literally is free dinner that an alumnus pays for, and you get a direct access to that alumnus over food, and networking opportunity there too. So, I mean, why are we just discovering all this now, or why are students just discovering all this now? I don't know, but the point is that it's there, and I'll tell you, a large part of our association, those are our members and those who are just counting themselves as Titan alum, are here to help. We for sure have a compassionate group of people who've done amazing things and will make time for you if you just ask. So there of course there are benefits of joining the association, obviously, but just overall as an alumni association, like we do pretty well in making sure that once you graduate, as well as the years leading into your graduation, that you have a family who is going to take care of you.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are the parents of us.
Essentially, yeah.
You guys are finished before us, and
which is weird for me.
We kind of rely on you guys to support us with the scholarships and just giving back to the community.
Yes. So I think there's benefits for sure of keeping connected with us, and just like at any other big college out there, the reason why a lot of people have found jobs and have at least just been given that encouragement to keep going is because there are people there to let them know that have been through it before that it's going to be fine, and so Titan alumni are great. If you want to get involved and you are an alumnus, come down to the alumni house.
Yeah, so many things.
I
over
hope
here
I just Google Titan Alumni House, the Gohaler Alumni House,
and search what year it was made.
Yeah,
because
search what
Jordie
year it was
doesn't
made
know.
and fact check that. And tell them, if you want to meet with me, I'm here. They can connect you with me. I'm happy to talk to you guys. We have the Titan Pro Network, which is kind of like a LinkedIn, but just for Titan alumnus people that you can sign up for free as a student, and we can schedule a call together and we can chat. So yeah, every resource is available for you to just, if you want something from your parents, you can get it. Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Unquote. Yes. Said Titan parent. Yes.
Can you plug the $57 lifetime membership?
Yes, we have membership, and there are benefits for membership, from parking passes to come back on campus for events, or discounts at the Titan bookstore, or not life insurance, or insurance, because you need insurance, guys, and a whole bunch of other things as we revamp the benefit system. But yes, for a limited time, I'll do this in my my voiceover. For a limited time, you can get a lifetime membership to the Alumni Association for the extremely low price of $57. And wait, there's more. Buy now, and you will get a license plate frame or something if you stop by. I'm gonna get in trouble because stop by the alumni house.
I'm gonna try. And Jordie, can you tell us how much they're saving by purchasing it now?
Sure, you're saving a lot of money.
I don't
For
know.
a lifetime membership, it's like $100 something.
Yeah.
I should know this too. I'm sorry.
Aren't you on the executive
I
committee?
am on the
Jordie?
executive committee, but that's okay. I just if I sold you with the insurance portion of
Life insurance.
then I'm good. But no, if it just forces you to come to the alumni house and get you reconnected, and then you want to join, then I've done my job.
There we go.
There you go.
So with that, we're going to end it off there. Thank you so much, Jordie, for making this. And by the way, this is our last episode for the semester.
Oh, yes.
So this was a fantastic. I love this episode.
Going out with a bang.
This was fantastic. This was a great way to end it. So thank you so much for
Ahad.
joining me.
Yes.
I loved it. This was a great semester, and I feel like we couldn't have ended it off on a better note.
Cool, pal.
With someone who is part of the Alumni Association and has done so much to be a part of it. So like you mentioned prior, you kind of took my bit with the whole Titan LinkedIn site, because then it's the same, because then you're given that script and I'm given that script.
Yes.
So yeah, like Jordie mentioned prior, we do have Titan Pro Network, which is our own Titan LinkedIn site where you can personally contact Jordie.
Yes, you
and
can.
Along with other alumni.
Yes.
Yeah, there's so many people you can contact and get so much information through it, and we want you guys to join it, because if you need a mentor, if you need someone to review your resume, or you need a job, or just any general questions, alumni are there for they're just waiting. They're waiting for you, and you guys aren't doing anything.
Sounds like a telethon.
It is a telethon.
You're standing by, waiting for your call.
We're not gonna end this episode until someone
calls. I'm waiting, guys.
So please join the Titan Pro Network today. Yes. We're all open to mentoring you and connecting with you.
Indeed.
So is there any last thing you would like to mention, Jordie?
No, I just want to say thank you, pal, for having me. It's been a joy to talk about myself. But also, hopefully if there's if there's something that someone clicked with and you want to connect more about it, or you'd like to talk more about it, I'm open. I think that part of it, being a part, not just being the VP of Student Outreach on the board, but just to be open to anything and everything. Kanye to Jeopardy, I'm down to talk, or just talk about your experiences here, good or bad. I want to hear bad, so that how we can improve, and I think that's gonna be my offer that I'll leave folks with is, if you guys need anything, I am one Titan Pro Network connect away. So, and
I just realized we're gonna call it Jordie Jeopardy from now on.
There we go.
That is the official name of the game we're gonna play.
I hope to be back soon, but I just want to say thank you for hosting all these episodes, man. You're a great interviewer. I've had a lot of fun, and so I hope to be back for a future episode or with somebody else from the association. That'd be fun.
Season 2,
coming
season 2
soon,
eventually. So if you missed any of our episodes, you can catch them on our CSUF alumni page just by searching it up on YouTube. And be sure to subscribe for the new episodes that will be coming out for season 2. And we'll catch you guys next semester.